Howdy Boys, Clue Book 1, The Video Game Bandit, Chapter 9. The Mystery Man. Joe pushed back against the workbench, trying to get comfortable. He was wedged behind a stool, his knees against his chest. Whenever he tried to move, he got stuck. "I'm squished," he said. Frank sat beside him, his arm wrapped around his knee. "Me too. Hopefully it won't be much longer." They'd been sitting under the workbench for a while. They'd pull two stools in front of them so that it'd be harder to see them. 10 minutes ago, Joe got hot. Then they had to open one of the giant garage doors to let some fresh air in. At one point, Mr. Freeman had come looking for them, and Frank and Joe had let him in on the plan. The dessert table was almost empty. People were starting to ask about what happened, and Mr. Freeman worried that everyone would leave before they found the Z-Cross. The fundraiser was almost over. "Come on," Joe said, tapping his toe nervously. "Where are they?" "They'll come," Frank said. "Just wait. We're so close. I can feel it." Joe watched the garage door, hoping one of the boys would appear outside. He leaned his head on Frank's shoulder. He was very sleepy. They'd spent the whole day getting ready for the party. With all the excitement of the case, Joe was ready for a nap. He tried to fight it, but he could feel himself falling asleep. Suddenly, Frank poked him in the side and said, "Psst, whisper, no, look." Joe rubbed his eyes. The boy was hovering by the garage door. He had a blue baseball cap on, and the brim was pulled down so it was hard to see his eyes. Joe squinted, trying to make out the face, but the garage was dark, and it was hard to see. Sure enough, the boy went over to the bike. He took the wallet from the basket and slipped it in his back pocket. They took the plastic bag with his hot dogs and threw them in the trash in the workbench. When he turned back around, Frank and Joe saw their chance. They pushed out from under the workbench. "We need to talk to you," Frank said. "We have a good reason to think that you took the missing Z-Cross 5000. The boy's back was facing Frank and Joe. He straightened up when he heard Frank's voice. Then, without saying a word, he ran out of the garage and down the street. "Get him!" Joe cried. He took off after the boy. Frank followed close behind. They ran as fast as they could. Up ahead, the boy was running even faster. He turned the corner and sprinted back up the block. Joe tried to keep up. He cut through a neighbor's yard and watched as the boy disappeared into the woods behind Ellie's house. When Frank finally caught up to Joe, Joe stopped, his hand on his knees, trying to catch his breath. "Where did he go?" Frank asked, looking into the trees. "Did we lose him?" "Think so," Joe said. He could hear the boy running somewhere up ahead of them, but he couldn't see any more. He wasn't even sure which direction he had gone. He might have been headed back to Ellie's house, but he could have been cutting through the woods to the pond on the other side. Just then, Joe spotted something a few yards away. He ran over to pick up the cap the boy had left behind. He turned it over, and in his hands, he looked inside. The tag had a name written on it. He brought it in close to his face so he could see. "Of course," Joe said finally. "I should have realized it was him." The clues were there all along. "Well, what is it?" Frank asked. "What did you find?" Who do you think the boy was?